You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water?
Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
This back-to-school season, Tide and Downey are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. U.S. and D.C. 16 or older. End September 30th. Rules at tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Find lower than low prices and fall into great savings, all in the Kroger app. Get 20-ounce Kroger bread or 16-ounce Kroger peanut butter for 99 cents each. Then get tender bone-in pork Boston butt for $1.49 a pound, all with your card. Plus, save big with your digital or loyalty account. Click the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See what?
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have our weekly podcast, Big Sam and Nephews, and the incomparable Nathan Marlow. And then I am Big Sam. This is my podcast with my family. And we've got probably Tyler Ward's from Minneapolis is supposed to be on with us too. But we can't wait for him. We got to keep it moving. But a lot of football going on, a lot of excitement going on. And I watched Colorado get waxed by Oregon, but I kind of figured that was going to happen.
You called it.
But
you called it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, you know, I think Colorado's about a couple of years away from being where he wants that team to be, because I don't think I think if he can get probably 10 or 15 more, there are some 5-star and 4-star recruits that are some of them have already committed to coming to Colorado. And I think the other thing is, like we said, he just kind of speaks the language of young people. He just speaks it, you know. He can relate, and
Right.
you gotta be able to relate. You know, just because they lost, who cares? They won 3 more games they did last year. They were 1-11, 1-11,
What's the record now, Big Sam?
3-1.
3-1.
Not shabby. They're
Right.
probably going to lose. They got USC coming up next week. They'll probably lose that game, and that's fine because they'll still be 3-2. But they got after that they've got not an easier schedule, but they got some more winnable games.
Yeah.
Stanford's in there. I think Arizona State's in there. Those teams they can be able to whoop up on those teams. UCLA, they lost 14-7 to Utah. So Utah didn't score many points either. So, you know.
What's up with Stanford?
They're not good.
My hometown team took them down. That's almost unimaginable.
Well, you know, they lost to Sacramento State.
That's my hometown. Yeah, Sac State took them down.
When?
They beat
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
But Sac State's been on a winning streak since last year. I think
know.
they won like 13, 14 games last year.
They lost in the title, the Division II title game.
Yep.
And it was tight. I mean, they lost. It was last second kind of thing, if memory serves.
Yep. All my buddies at work, they were like, Sac State is good. And I was like, who? The Bees?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of talent here, you know, but it wasn't a D1 or a top-notch program, so everybody from here would go somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any better for them because, you know, they're coming to the ACC. And
And the ACC is known for having really good, really smart, really schools. Well, they have schools that have high GPA basically, and I
Well,
don't think
no,
they're going to be able to recruit very well
wait a minute.
because the
Who's going to
GPAs
Who's going?
are
Buffalo.
Stanford,
Stanford?
and Cal. I think Cal is
Okay,
going.
so Stanford. I mean, so you're saying, Parker, that they won't be able to recruit because the ACC does not have the highest GPA
No,
requirement.
they have high requirements. A lot of schools in that
Are you
division.
familiar with Stanford University?
Yeah, no, they have a high GPA, requirement there. So like recruiting kids, I mean, let's just be honest. Like some of these kids don't have the best GPAs.
Right.
So getting those kids, some of those top, more talented kids are going to be kind of hard.
Well,
You
the
got to
four,
kind of weed them out.
the fours and the fives will never go to Stanford. They won't because they don't
Right.
have high GPAs.
They don't qualify.
Right, and they'll probably
they can qualify, but it'll be a lot of work on the other end because you're gonna have to really do some actual.
Okay, can I ask a question?
yes.
Okay, no shade on Marshawn Lynch. No shade. No shade. I'm
It's
going to
gonna be all
preface.
shady.
I'm going to preface this. But Cal is not like a low GPA school at all. At
No,
all.
man. Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? How did that happen? I'm just
Well,
saying.
Jay, what? Not all big athletes are underqualifiers. I mean,
I'm not saying.
he could have.
I think he had good testing, and now I know he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't have a high GPA. I know for a fact he did. So, and I'm talking about like the standard to get into the standard that they put all the other students into getting into the school, because you got to remember, you're an athlete. You can have a lower GPA because guess what? The admissions process is going to be, hey, look, what else do you bring to the school?
Right.
So that's one of those things. I mean, like you start looking at like Georgia Tech, Stanford, they pretty much don't waver. Duke, they don't waver on who they're going to go recruit those top athletes. They're going to get those, 3.8 guys, 3.2 guys, something like that. I don't think that, and I'm not saying, and again, I'm not saying that Marshawn Lynch is not that, but when you start, and like we were having a conversation about, Georgia Tech, that was this morning, talking about Georgia Tech, you got to be a 3.5 to get in now. I mean, back in the day, you had to be a 3. I mean, when I was trying to get in, you had to be a 3.2, and I had a 3.2, but I just didn't get a scholarship. That's what I wanted. So, some of those things like on that level is like, Jared Jack went there, Chris Bosh went there. I mean, those are pretty smart kids anyway. But Stephon Marbury, he got hooked up. I'll tell you that for sure. Uncle, you know about that.
Yeah, he did got hooked up.
Stephon Marbury he got hooked up to go to Georgia Tech. I mean, Bobby Criminal's like, man, you need to come over here. Come on, man, I got you. I mean, so. But,
there are exceptions to the rules, and we understand what those exceptions to the rules are. But basically, if you can play, you're going to be in. If you're a superstar player coming in, which Stephon Marbury was, but actually Stephon Marbury, his career ended on a high note. He's making a bunch of money over in Japan. The Japan money spends. China. I'm sorry, not Japan. China. That money spends just like the American money spends too.
Oh, yeah.
Is he still playing?
No,
he just retired like a couple of years ago.
He just got out.
How's he making money in China?
Man, he got the tire selling people over there.
Yeah, the government loves him. The government loves him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is beloved by the city. I want to say he actually learned a dialect of Chinese too, and that's his primary residence at the same time. And I think with Stephon Marbury, I remember talking to Steph about this like when he was in college. We were went down there to go play, and we were hanging out. And when you got to live up to your brother's hype, New York City's hype, all these people are, you're the next one, you're the next one, you're the next one. That's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Not saying that he couldn't do it. I mean, because I think he lived up to what he was supposed to do. Everybody's like, he's a head case, he's this, he's that.
Well, he had the junior Marbury, then he had another brother, Juju, and then he had another brother that was older than him. That Steph was like fourth in line.
Yep.
But the one brother played for Georgia. The oldest boy played for Georgia. Wasn't a bad ball player. And then Juju played. He played somewhere, and he was a good ball player too. And then the other boy, another young man, was same thing with him. He wasn't a bad ball player either. But Steph
came from a family of ballers.
Yeah, Steph was like the golden child.
Yep.
He played for the Gauchos out of New York, and he just. But I think I got to know him a little bit because he used to play for the Timberwolves for a hot minute. But again, egos get in the way, because if Minnesota would have kept Tom Gugliotta, KG, and Stephon, they were on a roll. They could have made something happen, but it never at all fell, because what happened was you looked at Stephon, looked at what KG got. And so, and then I guess from what I understand was that because Stephon did that after his first year, he's like, because when Kevin signed that extension,
it was at 100. Was that 100 or something million? It's like 100.
Either one or two. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, I remember it was a lot. I remember.
And so, but anyway,
what do you think about this, man? And I know that legally it can never be enforced, but I hate to see a dude that works at McDonald's go broke, right? But certainly somebody who signs $100 million or $200 million contract, it's almost like there ought to be, can't be forced, but really strongly suggested that, look, man, you know what, you've already made it. You don't need to make it. You've already made it. You want safety as compared to somebody like me, I'm trying to make it, right? Stock market and all that. If they said, okay, look, why don't you just take 90% of what you've got, put it in a safe municipal bond, right? Or an ultra safe, maybe even an ultra safe, something safe, right? Okay. Yeah, and just they say, you know what? Don't think in terms of having $100 million. Think in terms of, if this thing makes you 4% a year, but your money is protected, and even if the city goes bankrupt, the state goes bankrupt, you get your money back, right? A lot of times it's tax free. Think that you have $4 million a year on your $100 million, and forget about the $100 million. What would you think about that?
Well, that in theory, that's all good, said and done. But in theory, that's just in theory, because they have a class every year for the NBA players, all the sports. Not all the sports. Yep. Football and basketball. Football. They have a class. Football got a class. Basketball has a class when somebody comes in and talks to them about saving your money and blah blah blah. But it's like going in one ear, come out the other ear, and it's difficult. You got a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. Say for instance, a 21-year-old kid. That's still a kid, You with millions of dollars. They're not going to think about saving. They're not going to. I mean,
I think those cats should see classes of all the dudes that went broke, man, from overspending, not saving, not paying their taxes on time, getting ripped off by their best friend from, I don't know who they met last week that went to accounting school 2 weeks ago,
But they find out FICA is real.
Huh?
What? They find out real quick FICA is real.
Oh, yeah.
They are on time.
Well,
you know, what's his name from Dallas, the wide receiver that never caught a legal pass in his life because he pushed off Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
He got his bonus. He showed up to training camp the first day. He said, "Coach, what happened to my check?" And Jimmy Johnson told him he had $1 million bonus. It was only $600,000. He said, "One of your relatives came to see you." Oh, where was that? His Uncle Sam. He came to see you. It's, you know, Michael, he got a very rude awakening to the way things work, you see. And that's fine. That's fine. Uncle Sam's going to get his. Out here in California, you know, Uncle Gavin is going to get his. Okay, that's okay. Right. But if whatever you come away with, I mean, man, apply some practice, some common sense. Or actually, it's not common sense because a lot of times the kids don't know. But listen to those lessons. Force them to listen to the lessons somehow. Tell them about stories about guys getting ripped off. I mean, there's a website. We talked about this on another show. There's a website where, like in cities like Atlanta or New York or LA or something, you know, cities with teams, you know, probably Sacramento too, but we only have one team, you know. But in the cities where you guys live, I mean, there's hundreds of athletes or, you know, dozens of millionaires. I mean, and probably dozens of more who are about to be millionaires. Okay. And so there's a website that girls can go to. It tells you when you see a celebrity in like a restaurant or a nightclub or at the zoo or whatever, right? It'll ping you. And, you know, I mean, you probably get those rolls out of your hair real quick and just shoot over there kind of thing if you want to get hooked up, you see. And so the point is the guys need to be made aware of that. You're a target, right? You're a target. And man, if you're not careful, you're going to get screwed.
I mean, you know, it's the same thing like we tell our players now, well, the coaches that I do, a lot of our kids, they are tapped, they are, next up, or, some of the kids are going to eventually be in the league or whatever. And, we tell them all the time, like, yo, stay on the course, you know what I'm saying? Like, we made we had a little talk with some of the kids this past summer when John Morant was going through his situation, and we just pointed out, like, yo, look what he's doing.
What happened to him?
Nobody around him, well, he had the two gun charge, or not charges, but
he's an idiot. John Morant.
Well, what happened to him?
At the same time, like, no one. Well, he brandished a gun online. The second time, in the first time, he had a gun in the club. So, like, he wasn't charged with anything, but the aesthetics of, the way it looked was bad.
Damaging to the league and the league's image. Right.
Right. And it cost him a lot of money because of all the endorsement they do. The endorsers that endorsed this young man, they all flew the coop on him. They left. He lost out on a couple of $1 million, at least $2 million, if not more. Nike pulled. Nike pulled out.
Yeah, they pulled out. They left the shoe alone. They kind of backed off a little bit because he didn't get charged with anything. He just looked bad.
Right. And the sad part about it is just that, I think, and it's just my own opinion, a lot of these boys, these mothers raise these kids, right? And these mothers are so emotional, which in turn, the kids are emotional, and they don't think with any logic at all. No logic at all. You think about it. You catch a guy. I'll tell you a quick story. There was a guy that played for the Timberwolves, Stanley Jackson. You remember him? LSU, played behind Shaq, big man from South Carolina.
Yeah. Right.
He was the player of the year many years ago out of high school. He was an All-American basketball player. Coach Brown was a coach for LSU. He recruited Stanley Jackson and Stanley Roberts, and Stanley went to LSU. But then Shaq came, boom, sort of bumped Stanley out of the way. And so anyway, Shaq ended up going. But fortunately for Stanley Roberts, he still ended up going to the Clippers. That's where he ended up going. The Clippers drafted him, right? Well, he goes and plays for the Clippers, right? He had a $300 million contract. I repeat, a $300 million contract. Blew the whole situation. And the sad part about it was there was a guy that Stanley knew that this guy was supposedly the managing Stanley Roberts' clothing store or his rap music or something like that he was doing. Well, first of all, Stanley, you don't know anything about rap music. You don't know anything about clothes, right? So, and I'll never forget Tom Hammonds. I knew Tom Hammonds real well. I used to do Tom Hammonds basketball camps. Well, Tom Hammonds, smart guy. Stanley Roberts came in one time, had booklets, just a couple of little picture, books, all these pictures of all these. Stanley owned 42 cars. 42 cars, right? It was like the light had gone on off of Stanley's head because Tom Hammond said, Stanley, did you ever think about buying a car lot? And Stanley's like, well, I didn't think about that. Well, you can't drive 42 cars. 42 of them lost everything. Everything. Wow. But the sad part about it was people that got on him, they just, matter of fact, me and Bobby Jackson, my good buddy Bobby Jackson, was coaching for the Kings.
Yeah. Very popular. We loved him out here.
Bobby and I were together one time in a strip club. Now, me and Bobby were sitting in there. It was like lunchtime too. They gave us, they fed us like a king. We had shrimp, so all that stuff, eating. So anyway, Stanley Roberts blew $10,000 just in that afternoon, just on strippers, just on strippers. People that don't like you. They just got a body, and they know how to use it, and he was like a sacrificial lamb. That's what I like him. I like to say, but anyway, the story with him was such a sad story because I remember one time somebody said, did you read Sports Illustrated? I said, no, why? He said, you need to read it. Go buy Sports Illustrated. I used to run a gym in Minnesota. And so I bought a Sports Illustrated, and it had Stanley Roberts, and that on the cover story, story of him, and it showed him living in a trailer, him and his mother, brother, and I guess they showed the house in the background that never got fixed. It was a big like a mansion type of house. Never he had gotten so broke so quick over the years that he never was able to recover. I don't know where he lives now. I don't know if he lives down in South Carolina or down in Houston, Texas. But but anyway, I say that to say that I just think some of these situations, and there's a lot of situations, man, just sad. You're sad.
Right. Yeah.
And it's sad because a lot of these guys just go for that money quickly.
I mean, when you have, like, I don't know, but 3 million is considered, oh, good, you're safe. 30 million, you're considered extremely wealthy. Or very wealthy. This is years ago. I don't have either, right? So let's not get that wrong. But
neither do I.
Me neither.
And the thing is, if you could have a sort of a mind shift change, and a lot of these kids are coming from less than ideal situations. Not all, but a lot are. Steph Curry didn't, but a lot are, for instance. But some of it is cultural pressure, expectations, norms, etc. Examples they've seen, right? Mm-hmm. But man, if you could change things at that sort of foundational level, and nobody would. I don't think. Look, many of us here on this panel have been lots of places, right? We live in an amazing country. We live in a country amazing with opportunities. It's not perfect. It's not the playing field is not balanced. I'm not an idiot, right? But there is still basically almost limitless opportunities for each and every individual, okay, who decides to do something, be somebody, be something, work in whatever field, this kind of thing, right? Everybody can get a high school diploma. I mean, that's the start, right? Nobody has to blow his or her money just because they're excited, right? If she doesn't like you because you don't buy her a new Corvette, well, she did you a favor. Keep going and make sure she keeps going too. You see, but it would take a mental mind shift, because I think some of these guys are they're targets for predators and they don't know it, because you feel like, man, I've made it and it's going to be like this forever. I know that feeling. All right. But so it pains me to hear stories like that. It really does.
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
think the predators is like the ones that are the biggest predators is not the women, and that's where we get it messed up at. It's your boys, the dudes that want to do business, but it's really not business. The people that say, "Hey, man, you should invest in me because I've known you for X amount of time. Because now all of a sudden I have a dream. I have a dream, but you need to finance my dream." That's the biggest misnomer about every.
Well,
single
and see the
little
sad,
thing.
and actually you're right, because I can remember there were situations with these guys. They were saying, "Man, you should invest in me and my little project I got going on." But common sense would tell you, you know what? You need to get your own money and invest in your own project.
Right.
Don't be relying on me.
That's what the bank is for.
But they don't, because they used to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and mayonnaise sandwiches growing up, and all that stuff. They feel an allegiance to these people, and a lot of these people are just sandbaggers, man.
Yep.
They're just waiting for their opportunity to just get money from people. That's it. I remember a guy. To this day, I won't say his name.
Please do.
But his name was Glenn. He's from Oakland, California. And Joe Smith, you remember Joe Smith? Joe Smith used to play with Golden State Warriors, right?
Yep.
Well, Joe had a secret agreement with his agent, Ben Taylor, and Kevin McHale, right? Well, some way or another, the story got out about they were going to give Joe all this extra money, an extension on his contract. Joe, and actually, Joe was a nice guy, just a really nice guy. But again, this guy named Glenn was acting like he was the player. You're not a player. You're a player. You're playing on somebody's emotions is what you're playing on. But he wasn't a player. Well, this dude had a bar in the back of his SUV truck. He had a Ford Expedition truck. Nothing spectacular, but he had a bar in the back of the truck. I'm thinking, well, first of all, you shouldn't drink anyway, but that's neither here nor there. Why are you doing this? But he was just leaning on Joe and so the sad part about it was, in the end, I'll never forget, Joe came to me and asked me to work him out, and he spilled the beans, told me the whole story, man. He said, man, he ended up I don't know if he's broke or not, but he just stories. I can go on and on and on, stories about guys that just don't invest their money properly, because they think about today instead of thinking about tomorrow, and that's the problem, is that if you think about today,
it's also a concept that just in certain parts of town you just don't ever hear about. I mean, a two-story Magic Johnson went through the same thing that, well, actually not quite identical, but Spencer Haywood was offered 10% of Nike, like 10% of stock shares in Nike. Nobody had ever heard of Nike, but his agent said Spencer, I think was, well, I don't know, sounds okay. It might turn into something as compared to taking 100,000 or 150,000 cash to wear Nike shoes back when nobody had ever heard of Nike. And Spencer Haywood was the big name coming out. And his agent said, just, nah, man, what is this company? This might be nothing, and you're going to wear some shoes where you could make some other money from somebody else's shoe brand. You should take the $100,000, right? And Spencer, he was on TV talking about it, being interviewed, and he kind of smiled about it. I guess he's not pained by it. I mean, having not been worth, I don't know, he'd be worth more than $1 billion now, 10% of Nike, you see. Well, Phil Knight offered Magic the same deal. Now, Magic, neither one of them are dummies. It's just that, there's a difference between, being dumb and not being exposed, right? Because, what is stocks in the hood? It's just a dream. It's just not real, you see.
Yeah.
But Magic was offered the same 10% by Phil Knight. And he said, well, Magic's quite well to do now, quite an established businessman, et cetera, et cetera. But even he was, well, man, where I grew up, stocks, well, what are stocks? What is that? It's not, I can't put my hands on them. How do I know it's worth something? So he had these sort of confusing thoughts, right? Now, of course, he's saying this like, man, if I only knew, because Magic was after Spencer. So if Spencer would have been worth, I think it was $1.5 billion, Magic would have been worth $5 billion kind of thing, but just it wasn't real.
Barkley had the same.
And not everybody has to invest. You can stock your money away so that it's safe and protected. Not everybody wants to be aggressive like me, okay? I have to, my age, I have to make it kind of thing, right. You see? So, yeah, that's just one lesson that I wish kids would get. Is so non-complicated. This country is so full of opportunities. I've been all around the world. It's just, to me, to not make it, in most cases, you have to get in your own way. In most cases, if you go out and you run across the wrong trigger-happy cop, well, that's not your fault, But in most cases, you almost have to try not to make it, or deliberately make the wrong sorts of decisions to blow the future, you see. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what? Washington State is still going to be undefeated. They're the killing Oregon State right now.
Oh yeah, they're definitely killing. I'm watching it right now.
Yeah, they're killing them.
But I was going to say, man, what's even more disturbing is that it's going to get worse before it gets better, because you have so many young kids. We were just talking about this off air, but so many kids with this NILs and all these different deals, and now big name companies are getting involved, with like the KFC and the, Subways and all that stuff. Like now it's more important, like you're saying, Nate, to sit down with these kids early, because now they're getting them out of high school. Now they're cutting deals coming straight out of high school, not even being able to touch a ball, and thinking that, oh, well, I'm worth, $3.5 million off the bat, and you're only a 17, 18-year-old kid. Like, who's helping you manage your money?
Man, look, they just trying to buy Chargers and go to the strip club. I don't know. I think
I say get a Corvette, but stay out of the club. Stay out of the strip club.
Yeah.
Get the car.
Get
it out of the system.
That's the thing. They have to know. Like I forgot who. There's somebody from the NFL. They run the business. One of my boys. He played in the NFL. Corey. He runs a financial literacy business. We work out together, so he gets all of his NFL dues. He goes out and he's getting to the point, because me and him, we talk about stuff all the time, investments and such and such, right? So he deals. He'd be
a good guy to have on the show.
Yeah. He just got a. I've been trying to connect with him. He's been out the loop for a while, so he was kind of like, I didn't even see him. So he just got back in town about last month. But a lot of times it's the financial part is for me, for what I think is, you start looking at how, like Shaq. Shaq had somebody that was good in his ear to do business, but Shaq is not no dummy. Jamal Mashburn was somebody good in his ear to, invest after, basketball. So you talking about the guys, and Jamal Mashburn made millions of dollars during the league. He wasn't he was on the verge of the superstardom, but Jamal Mashburn made some money and then he invested. He saw the writing on the wall. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go over here. See, everybody is still, when you're young, you chase the check. Shaq had the $100 million before. Kobe had all these guys. They had people who were on the team that kind of, Jordan kind of reached back. Jordan, I think Jordan was a little different. And then Jordan and Barkley, I think when he came out with his deal, Barkley wanted to take the cash, and Jordan said, "Nah, man, take the stock options," because he knew it was already. And so by this time, Jordan knew, well, hey, man, I'm coming up, because Barkley came after Jordan, right? So so Barkley came a year after Jordan. So you start thinking about that stuff where you have guys that are reaching back to say, hey, man, look, do this, this, and this. Hey, man, do this, this, this. And then on the business, it's like, it doesn't, and I think they don't even have to be the multimillionaires. It's just something simple as like, hey, look, put your money in this fund. Put your money, if you're 25 to 19 years old, hey, look, I signed a deal. The deal is $20 million. Put X amount of dollars into this fund. By the time you're 40, if you play long enough, by the time you're 40, your $10 million is going to grow into, whatever it is, whatever your compounded interest is, whatever it is, if you do an index fund, like you say, a mutual fund, something aggressive, non-aggressive, and then partner, start, like, if I was a young kid, like, here goes the thing. If I was a young kid right now coming into the league and I know I'm going to be a number one, a lottery pick, guess who the first phone call that I know that I'm going to get money? I'm going to go holler at Shaq. Shaq is going to be my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Shaq, how do you do this? Hey, Shaq, how do you do that? Can you mentor me on how do you do business and how do you get into, certain kind of investment business that are doing well? And who do you have around you? I will look at the most successful business people inside the leagues and say, hey, look, how do I do this? I would, talk to the owners, things like that. So, it's like you said, it's the literacy thing. It's the literacy thing.
Right.
And like I told, and I'm about to get off of this, but my little nephew Miles, he's down in Houston. He got signed with the Mavericks. And so I told him, I was like, hey, man, even if you don't make the team, go talk to Mark Cuban as much as possible. Because that's a mind of business.
Mm-hmm.
You might not make the team, but guess what? You could work for the Mavericks and you could do something else and you could do this, and how he made his money.
Right.
It's like, man, I was like, that's one of the guys that you want to have.
Good call.
So that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Oh, shoot. So,
Right. Good call. Yeah.
Well, I want to change the subject now, and I want to get into some college football.
Let's do it.
Looks like Oregon State's going to get their butts beat by Washington State. So Washington State is still undefeated at 3-0. Soon to be 3-0, soon to be 4-0. And then Oregon State now is going to be 3-1 because they're going to get their butts kicked. Now Colorado's going to drop to 3-1. Oregon is probably should move up a little more in the rankings because strangely enough, the Pac-12 is got these teams. All these teams are in the Pac-12 between 5 and 3, ranked third. And whatever's USC's in the mix. Texas is in the mix. I think some of the times. Some of these, I think the SEC now, because they're the big boys, they're like the elite, the cream of the crop. But what's going to happen is, as usual, they all slap each other around. Like Mississippi State, they just lost to Alabama. Seems like they're back on track now. Alabama's going to be in the mix. they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be in the mix.
Alabama seems down a notch, which isn't anything to be ashamed of from where they were like 3 to 4 to 5 years ago. I mean, that was was like the best team I'd seen since USC back in the 70s or something, or the best.
Well, I'm glad you brought USC up. When the scandal broke with Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush and all that, that sort of folded up that particular franchise. Their franchises, colleges are, and of course, Pete got out quick. He went to Seattle. Been in Seattle ever since.
Right.
Because he's going to be in a lot of hot water. He's going to have to answer some questions. Want to answer them. And so what happened was they took the Heisman from Reggie Bush, which Reggie Bush has got a lawsuit out against the NCAA. I don't think he's going to win, but there's some wording that they had in it that he said he found offensive to him. So he's suing the NCAA to try to get his trophy back, which I don't think he'll ever get his trophy back.
I thought they gave it back. They didn't give it back.
No. He never got it back.
Oh.
Never got it back. He's trying to get it back. He never got it back.
I think
they do it.
They got the NIL. They should just give it all back, man. Give it all.
They're not going to, because what the NCAA said is that once they make a ground rule, they cannot go. They refuse to go back. In other words, you can't go back and retry somebody.
Yeah, you're admitting that you're wrong. You was wrong in your act. That's really what it is.
And they gave him his SC. They paid for him. They paid for him to get his mama to get a house. He was in the LA area.
I don't blame it.
But again, should they give Reggie Bush his try Heisman back? I wouldn't worry about it, but I guess with Reggie, he wants to be known. We all know Reggie Bush was a bad boy, because it's like with Barry Bonds and all the other steroid users. Do you think that those drugs helped Mark McGwire hit home runs? I don't think it helped him. It made him stronger.
I
think at the older age, he was able to hit.
Well,
that's the key.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that you're still your eye and hand coordination. Those performance-enhancing drugs do not have anything to do with your eye and hand coordination. I'm sorry.
They do.
You think so?
Yeah, I know so. HGH makes you see better. I mean, that's like confirmed. And like your recuperation time, like you don't get tired like you would normally like midway through the season, because your recuperation time is just down to nothing. You can work out better, right? You can kind of look at a dude and tell who's on steroids. I saw Lenny Dykstra, a little dude.
Oh, man.
Just had a wiry look in his face, and he slid in the second. And somebody was mad. He slid hard. He got up. He was anxious to fight. He whooped this dude up pretty good. You can just something different about him. So I think the steroid guys, they absolutely were helped. I mean, think about it. I mean, let's be realistic. Since the House of Congress and MLB came down, you see how those home run numbers went down, and I mean way down and way down fast, right?
Well, the thing about it is nobody cares about baseball anymore.
What is steroids help you perform? I mean, you go to the gym, you see some dude, lifting, curling 20 pounds. He's cut like a freaking Greek statue. You don't think steroids helped him? I think that they help. They do change the body. That's why the numbers went way up. That's why guys who take steroids, I mean, there are side effects. Your stuff shrinks all up. You get, back knee, what they call it, all kinds of liver problems, all kinds of things. It does, it initially helps the body and then breaks the body down.
Right.
You know what? I watched the show on Netflix about Balco and how it was the supplements. And from and the science behind the supplements, which was natural, blah 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 blah, or legal because it wasn't a steroid, and then, like now, you could go buy basically testosterone, right? Pills
from the store.
Yeah, from the store, which we all need, right? So t you know, and so you start talking about human growth test. All that testosterone is in there. Now, is it a lot? Yeah, it's a lot. I think the part about steroids that hurts you is the adverse effects when they start putting that other I'm not gonna say junk, but it's junk to your body, right? It's just it's the quick quo, like, I mean, I even looked at the supplements that Balco was selling. I was like, yo, like, that helps you do this. Those were helpers, and I was like, that should be sold, and that helped their performance because he was like, no, this is going to help your brain. This is going to help your hand-eye coordination. That did naturally, and then, when they got into, the steroids where it was cleared, you couldn't track it, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, where you had, what's the boy who ran track?
Carl Lewis.
No, it was from back.
Oh, Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
Ben Johnson.
So after Ben Johnson, though, I forget, they call him Tiny Tim, something like that. Tim, whatever. But, he broke the world record. Little short guy, and then he got all yacked up. And I'm like, see, there y'all go. But they had him on the regiment. Hey, man, do this, this, and this. Here goes the steroid. Here goes the testosterone. So the testosterone is a real big thing that we all need and we should have, which is crazy.
But the thing, here's the thing, is that you're going to tell me that only one guy made it to the Hall of Fame last year. The Big Papi is the only guy that made it. You cannot tell me that Big Papi was not taking steroids.
He wasn't on the juice.
I think he was.
I think he was juicing. There's a lot of guys, because it's a popularity contest, man. They hate Barry Bonds. They hate Pete Rose.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Papi's likable. And like you said.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Papi's likable.
Yeah.
He talked to the press. He talked to the kids. Barry Bonds didn't do that. He didn't talk to the press. He despised it.
They don't like Roger Clemens. I think there was a bunch of guys who were in the hall that used steroids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know they
them.
are. Mike Piazza is in the Hall of Fame.
Definitely.
Yep.
Juiced. Definitely juiced.
Yeah, Pudge Rodriguez in
Slim
the Hall
Rod.
of Fame.
Slim
You
Rod.
mean to tell me that he didn't juice?
Right.
I find it very hard to believe.
And see, I think Pudge.
Right?
Huh?
Rafael Palmeiro's not in, right? Rafi?
No, he's not in.
No. Okay.
No.
Nope.
Not
Because
yet.
he went to court and said that he lied.
Nothing. Yeah.
He lied in court in front of them, right?
What about A-Rod? Is A-Rod going to get in?
Never.
Probably not.
They don't like him either.
Right.
I like A-Rod, man. Damn. See, I think it's going to change because him and Big Papi are best of buddies now. And A-Rod's in the media a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked openly about his use and a mistake. And again, natural hitters. Ken Griffey, natural hitter. Barry Bonds, natural hitters. Big Papi, natural hitter. He didn't like these dudes didn't need the juice, but everybody's doing it. How are you going to get it?
Including the pitchers.
Including the pitchers doing it. You guys,
right.
So it. Now it's supplements. So I'm like, yeah, but what's in the supplements? The supplements have HGH in it. I can guarantee you they got some other stuff than HGH. You know what I'm saying? Supplements got testosterone in it.
They have a quarterback that's from Fresno State, is a rookie, is suspended right now for X number, I think 8 games for the illegal use of steroids. For using performance-enhancing drugs. He's from right here in Fresno.
We need Victor Conte back because he had it on point. Victor Conte was the man. Damn. We got like 10 minutes left.
But you know, I think, and I keep talking about this all the time, and I'm going to keep talking about it, that Pete Rose, the leading all-time leading hitter in baseball, is not in the Hall of Fame.
That breaks my heart.
All-time home run leader, Barry Bonds, not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
On one of the greatest all-time pitchers, Roger Clemens, is not in the Hall of Fame either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that don't make any sense.
You know, but the steroid era is a black eye on baseball because, you know, they used to be able to use those performance-enhancing drugs, and then all of a sudden they switched up with the help of the government and said, you know what? They took Barry Bonds to court, and Barry Bonds won his case. They still wouldn't let him in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but I think in Barry's case, I think his color of his skin had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Maybe. I mean, he wasn't very likable.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Right.
And I think Pete Rose is a reformed gambler. He had a gambling problem.
I agree. Pete, that's like an addiction. That's like, you know,
right.
Yeah, like a booze problem or something. Well, he was addicted to gambling, you see.
Right.
Yeah, he's being punished because of his addiction.
Right. And Bart Giamatti, who's dead now, said that Pete Rose will never be in the Hall of Fame. That was his last words. And he's right. Well, now, Pete didn't help his case because, you know, Pete was being stubborn.
Right.
Cop to it. And finally, within the last 15, 20 years, Pete finally said, yeah, I did it. Yes, I did. Yes, I gambled. Okay. Right. Well, too late now because had he done it.
Not if I was a commissioner.
He didn't want to bow down and kiss the ring, man. I mean, they both, you know, one commissioner is like, hey, man, you know, it's just a power trip. It's just a real power trip. Like,
right.
You know, if I don't do this, the writers is going to do this and da-da-da-da-da. And then, you know, it's going to tarnish baseball. I'm like, dude, tarnishing baseball? Like, come on, man. You guys tarnish yourself with cheating scandals. You guys tarnish yourself. You guys can mess baseball up by yourself. The way the game is going, you know, the game is exciting, but, you know, they tarnish themselves in baseball with the rule changes, with stuff that's not traditional, non-traditional. I get it, but, you know, they can do that by themselves, man. I mean,
well, you know, football is
generation.
Right. Football is king. Football is king in all the sports in North America. They're the number one. Football is the number one sport in America. They love it. This shows about gambling. I watch all these shows that's like, oh my God, you got to talk about this gambling, you know. They got gambling on these football games. You used to be able to not gamble on football games.
Right.
Matter of fact, Nate, you remember there was a time that they frowned on having a sports team in Las Vegas.
Right. Yep. Because they were afraid of gambling.
And the
right.
And the mob.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And so now.
But now you can do it on your phone.
Do it on your phone.
And
they got.
And they got Daily Wager on ESPN.
Right.
Telling you what to bet on. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we got some good games tomorrow. Speaking of betting.
Who you gonna
the Niners won big.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Spotify. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Spotify.
He's out for I don't know how many weeks he's gonna be out. He's gonna be out. It'll be into October when he comes back. You know, and by that time, and then the Diggs boy, the cornerback,
yeah,
boy, But I don't think his loss is going to be as big as I Saquon Barkley's is.
Nah, they'll be fine. I think that they'll manage through it for a little while. But yeah, they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to beat the Niners. I don't think they're going to go anywhere near the conference finals. But I mean, they get into the playoffs maybe.
Right.
Well, just my opinion. I think this year it seems like the Niners. It's the Niners' year. All things given, because Philadelphia does not have the same team either. And
but the injury bug is creeping.
Right.
So Debo's banged up, and what's the young kid, the wide receiver?
Ayuk
hurt. So as long as we stay healthy.
The Niners' window is closing though.
It is.
There's a little window because you're gonna have to pay McCaffrey, you're gonna have to pay Debo, you're gonna have to pay Ayuk, you're gonna have to pay. Bosa just got his money. You're gonna have to pay all these guys is coming up because all the young guys that are studs, they're all coming up. So, I mean, hopefully they get this one. I mean, I wish, but they look like a better team than they did last year, where they're more confident with each other. Everybody has a role. They
have an accomplished, a much better quarterback now. It's his team. He does not have to look over his shoulder and worry about Trey Lance coming back.
Right.
Trey Lance is in Dallas now.
Yeah. Garoppolo's gone.
Giving them all our secrets, you sons of
right.
I swear to God. If I start seeing them pack up on plays, man, I'm gonna know who it is.
Hey, what do y'all think about that Minnesota Vikings and Chargers game? That should be an interesting game.
I think the Chargers. But I'll tell you what, the Chargers look. They should beat Minnesota in Minnesota. Minnesota is a fraudulent team, but you got to look at them.
So
they got to pay every team. Well, that's what I'm saying. You got two fraudulent teams.
Damn, they need a defense, man. Chargers defense sucks. They are terrible.
And they got some good guys on the team.
I know, man, how come y'all should be winning way more? They win good, they win a lot, but they should be. They should be consistent, and that's the problem. You can look at Kansas City and say, okay, they lost, okay, but they're consistent right there. I think the surprise team of the year right now is the Washington Commanders.
I was just going to say that Bills and Commanders tomorrow. That's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be a real interesting game because you got two teams. One's on the incline, one's kind of sputtering a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen, man, he's not as good as we all expect him to be.
No, he's doing Brett Favre stuff. That's what
Joe Burrows has got problems. He's not going to play tomorrow either.
He's hurt.
He's hurt.
Yeah. He needs to sit down.
He's hurt.
Burrow's good.
Yeah, Burrow's the truth. Burrow's the truth.
Yeah, but how many hits are you going to take?
No, it's not even a hit. It's his calf. He hurt his calf earlier.
Oh,
in
yeah.
preseason. So it's his calf.
Right.
And so he should have
his calf.
Down. Yep.
But now he's going to sit down, which is going to cost them Cincinnati some games. But I tell you what, if all things given, I keep saying that the Baltimore Ravens, man, they look like the team to beat right now.
Mm.
In the AFC,
they're hanging around.
It's just my opinion.
The team to beat is Tua. Is Miami? That's the team to beat.
Oh yeah.
That's
you know what?
Shoot.
Right, but I'll tell you what. If it depends on this, if they don't have to go to Buffalo when it's cold and snowy, they'll be fine because they can. They if they can go now. The next month or so, if if Miami has to go play Buffalo up in Buffalo, because you know
For the playoffs.
Buffalo's got. Yeah, but I'm saying Buffalo's got that home field advantage with that weather, man. You know, you ever been to Buffalo? You haven't.
I haven't.
I've been to Buffalo. To stay out the cold place. I mean, I've been in some cold places.
Yeah, I've been in Buffalo, man. Those fans, man, it's just like, why did they not build a dome in Buffalo?
Right.
Well,
I mean, they get the Bills. They get the Bills in 2 weeks. So that'll be their saving grace.
Do they get them? They get them in Buffalo, or do they get them in Miami?
In Buffalo in 2 weeks.
Good.
That's the saving grace. So they could go get. I mean, they're 2-0 right now. They'll be 3-0. So, you know, they're first in the. I think as long as they stay first in the AFC East, they don't have to go to Buffalo. That's what they're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to win your division, and put Buffalo in the wild card to get in, so you can have home field.
Yeah, because Buffalo is not that. They're that team that's not. I mean, they're good, but they're not great.
Right.
There's a big
like
you know,
wide receiver away.
Right, and I think with them, they might, you know, they'll be in the playoffs for sure. But you know, something will happen where you know they'll have a Josh will throw an interception or something like that, and then you know they'll pick it off, and you know that. But I just think, it's just my own opinion, I think this might be the year that the Niners can go all the way and win the whole doggone thing.
Yeah,
it's too early to tell.
Time will tell.
It is too early, but I'm kind of with you.
Can we do this show on next Saturday? Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Can we do it earlier?
Like what time?
What time was something?
Probably either 7 or 8.
So that'll be 4 o'clock your time.
Our time. Or 5.
What time would it be for you all?
7.
Like 7, 8.
It'd be like 4. It'd be 4 o'clock for me and Nate.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay. We can do that.
Sure.
So we'll do the show next Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
All right.
Fine with me.
That's
beautiful, guys.
All right. Cool. I want to thank Javier, and I want to thank Parker. I want to thank the wonderful Nathan for being on my show. Unfortunately, Tyler did not come on, but you know, the show must go on. You need great conversation, and please subscribe to the show, Big Sam and Nephews. We roll over about 5 years. Please subscribe, like the show, and subscribe to the show. Big Sam and Nephews. That's our logo in the background. Back there. There you go. So anyway, we'll be back again. Once a week. We'll be back next Saturday about 4 o'clock. West Coast time. Good luck to everybody. And we'll just, you know, again, great conversation. And we'll sit it down. Thank you all very much for watching and subscribe. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Bye.